Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately called IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. And as part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats, and this is our third year of doing them. And Porch Play Chats are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are on this wide range of topics. You can use them at staff meetings to start conversations. You can listen to them on your way to and from work. They're just little snippets between 25 and 35 minutes long of amazing information on how to advocate for play. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm the president of IPA USA. And with me on the porch is Lisa Murphy. Good morning.
Hello, nice
or
to see
afternoon,
you.
wherever we are. And joining us today is Wendy Ruiz. And Wendy has her master's degree from La Verne in child development and child life. And her training and certifications include PITC, which is the Program for Infant and Toddler Caregivers, which is amazing. And RIE, which is Resources for Infant Educators. Is that it, Wendy?
Yep, that's it.
I just know RIE, and I love RIE too.
Oh,
so
yes.
if you don't know,
or Magda, right? Like we're on a first name basis with her.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Back
yes,
in the day.
We loved her. Yes. And she's
I actually
also
did my training with part of it with Magda.
Did you really? That's
yeah.
awesome.
That's
a workshop right there. That's a porch chat.
It is right there.
That
So you might want to talk about that on another one.
That was life-changing.
She is. I have a video of her see how they move on that movie that they have. Oh my God.
My favorite.
I just love her. Anyway, she's also ECE faculty at the College of the Canyons and the director of the Early Childhood Programs for Maker Learning Network. So Wendy is joining us today to talk about child-centered and relationship-based curriculum. And you know me and why relationships are so important and how they support lifelong learning. So I am so excited about this because, relationships are everything, right?
Everything.
That it's the foundation of every program. So I can't wait to hear what you're talking about. So let's go.
Awesome. I mean, the reason I came up with this is yesterday I was talking with a family and they've shared a few times that since they started our program that their child has completely changed and she doesn't know what we've done or how it's happened, but this child went from being completely nonverbal to not just verbal, but happy and like loving school and just a happy child again. And she said, what do you do? And I said, we just allow him to be who he is. We are relationship based, we're child centered. So whatever he needs, we're there to provide that, whatever, and she was like, oh, that is all he needed. Like you just allow, you accept my child for who he is. And and he was actually removed from another center. And and she said it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to him because he now is accepted for who he is. And that's what our curriculum is about. That's what curriculum should be about. It's not, I always tell people, the children that are in your programs, they didn't read those textbooks. They didn't read those curriculum guides. So it has nothing to do with them, and these canned type of programs that like base curriculum off of what they think a child should be doing, just talk to the children, look at the children in your program. And so when people ask us, they say, so you don't have curriculum in your program. No, we absolutely have curriculum. It's child-centered. The children decide what they're interested in and how far they want to go with it. And then the relationships, it's so important. Relationship-based curriculum is really getting to know each child and each parent for who they are and supporting them where they're at. And if you do those two things, if you focus their curriculum on their interests and their social emotional aspect and get to know them as an individual, like the learning just doesn't stop from there because then they want to, they want to be there. It's their passion, we're able to design I feel like we are able to design our curriculum based off each, we call them learners, but each child's passion. Right. And then also knowing it's not just the curriculum. I know that this child really likes to be held at this time, or I know that this child really likes it. He really likes to rub your hair when he's sad, or it's those pieces too. Those are just as important. And And yes, this child, when he came to us, he was frustrated. He was scared, because he didn't have the best situation before. And he's just such a joy, and he has so much passion. I find those children have, the children that are more spirited, they just have so much passion and love that you don't want to harness it. You want to support it, right? So,
well, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, too many people feel that for whatever reason they should be containing that as opposed to celebrating that. And I mean, you've been talking like for 4 minutes, and I'm like writing notes like crazy. You make me think of Maxine Green, right? That you cannot teach anybody anything unless they want to be there. And of course, Bev, when she used to tell everybody, your curriculum walks in the door at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Sometimes they're hungry, and sometimes they're tired, and sometimes the dog died. And to think that the curriculum could come in the mail and be relevant at all to these children is just, why are we convinced? I don't know, hold on, I can't say it like that. I think sometimes for whatever reason in our profession, and this has been a theme this week while we've been recording, is that we think it needs to be complicated in order for it to be seen valuable.
Right.
And I really want people to hear that you're still doing your job, even if it feels
still learning.
Simple.
They're still growing. I know I had a parent yesterday I was working with, and she was like, so I hear what you're saying, but there still isn't an organized curriculum. And I said, but there is. It's just every day it's so exciting and new. I was just talking with a child yesterday. He was building Legos, and of course he built a gun, right? And so I just said, so tell me about it. I said, what does your gun shoot? What does it do? It shoots fish. And I said, fish? Wow, why? He said, well, because it feeds the sharks in the ocean, so I don't have to get too close to them. And it was like this huge full story that if I had just told him, like,
no guns.
Yeah, I don't want to get hold of guns. But he had this dialogue, and then 2 days later, we're still having this discussion on the gun that shoots fish. So it's this. That's learning. That's cognitive. Memory recall. I mean, there's plus the fine motor that he built this perfect looking gun, by the way. I mean, there's just so much more that if we had said, no, sorry, we're going to do this today, those experiences just don't happen. We can't create those. They have to create them themselves. And
I think it takes a level of passion, dedication, and commitment to be able to align yourself with that kind of a belief system. I mean, let's be real. It's a lot easier it's easier to be like, we don't do that. But really it's not, because now you're going to deal with all the behavior and the control and the pushback. Right. It's like, let it go.
Right. And another child came up and he's like, well, my gun shoots, I forgot, lava. Mine shoots lava. So then we're having all these discussions, and it was so rich, and language involved, and socialization, and it was, and it wasn't a table activity that was just set up that we had planned a month ago because someone told us we needed to do this activity, Right. And I think that's my biggest challenge. Often when I teach my classes, they're like, it makes it, it sounds like you just let them do whatever they want. And I'm like,
to some degree.
Is that a trick question?
Yeah, right.
Hey, do you have a problem with that? And why is that?
And they've said, well, but if you let them do whatever they want, they're just going to do that all day. And I was like, well, but first of all, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Second, like maybe some children do want to paint for hours. It's therapeutic. It's, maybe some children want to build Legos for hours. That's okay too. If that's what's in their mindset. I know, like I always use the example of scrapbooking. When I scrapbook for hours. I can't scrapbook for 20 minutes because someone says it's time to rotate. Like that doesn't work for me.
Because then you're like, why bother? Like, why bother starting?
Exactly. And if you tell children or learners that they only have this set amount of time, they get used to that routine of, oh, I can't really get into it because I'm going to have to switch soon. Someone's going to tell me what I have to do next. And then they get in this pattern of they can't even answer their own questions because someone else has to answer it for them.
One of the things that everything that you're describing to me sounds like what Debbie Mays was talking about in the speaker series in learning stories, right?
Oh, yes.
And so I'm trying to remember what state she's in. Arkansas. Thank you. She's in Arkansas, and they have you have to submit assessments, and whatever the assessment is, whether it's teaching strategies gold or whatever they're using, you have to you have to submit assessments on each of these children that we're funding, right, into this state database. And so she got permission to do learning stories instead.
Wow.
And that is, I think we need to, I want people to go and look at that.
Those were beautiful
series, because she was amazing. And it really gives people this, get away from this checklist and let's just think, what did this child do? Just everything that you described: literacy, language, vocabulary, memory.
100% child-centered.
All child-centered.
It's child-centered and relationship-based, because it's looking at the world through their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't put it.
I know somebody who wrote a book about that. No.
Oh, I wonder who that could be. It's, yeah, that's what, yeah, learning stories are beautiful. I have my practicum students use learning stories to do their observations, and just reading them and seeing, allowing the students to step away from that. I have to look for, oh, they have to complete walking on, across a line, or going upstairs without holding on, or whatever. Like, instead of doing that, they're focusing on this child and their emotions and their feelings, and it's their passion.
Interest. Yes, their interest. And so what I want to get to is the relationship base. That's hard. When teachers say, oh, I have so much to do and I need to teach this, I need to teach this, and I need to teach this. So we know that we need to back away from the teach stuff and begin to observe.
You need to sit down.
Sit down, right? And
sit down.
And observe children so that you get to know them. One of the things I say to teachers, I'll say, who has a child that drives them crazy? And everybody raise their hand, right? And I said, that's a child you need to spend more time with. Right? Because you need to get to know them.
Well, it is a vicious cycle, and we're all preaching to the choir here. I mean, the three of us, I doubt there's anything we disagree on, the three of us today. But you get caught up in that. If I have to stay on schedule, then I don't have time, or it's a perceived sense, because I think they probably go home and cry themselves to sleep because they know to some degree they're supposed to be paying attention to that other stuff. So what I find, and I'm going to quote Tom Bedard again from Minnesota, you got to reflect on you have to identify your values before you reflect on your practice. So all of the child-centered practice, all of the relationship-based practice can all be beautifully articulated. But if at the end of the day, the value system of that particular program doesn't make room for that, you're going to be talking out of both sides of your mouth, and you're going to be battling yourself for the entire time you're there. And I think that value identifying piece is something I know I've been really kind of reminding people about. Like, I can talk to you at a workshop just like you do for an hour, but if at the end of the day,
if it's not your foundation,
it doesn't matter how much fun we had while we were together.
Yeah, if that's not your foundation, if that's not why you're there, like when people ask us and when we do interviews or whatever, and they ask what's about our program, 100%, the first thing out of our mouth is child-centered and relationship-based. That's just who we are. That is our underlying factor. It helps us to make every decision. Any question we have, we always go back to, it's about the child and the relationships. And if it doesn't align with that, then we have to find another way to do it.
That's your guardrail, right? And
that is, absolutely.
Your commitment to that value system is what bounces you back when you start to drift, right? Not somebody's personal preference, not something somebody wrote an article about, but this is what guides.
It's simple, it's short, it's so easy. Like, that's just it. And whenever people start to get confused, it's so easy. Like, it's about the child. That's it. It's about the child. And if it's not about the child, then we need to figure out how to make it about the child, and how to fix. If something's not working, then we need to, like, okay, we gotta come back, because it is. If it's not about them, if it's not child-centered or relationship-based, what is it? What are you losing to get to go the other way? And that's the problem. Is it's so easy to get. I think parents, especially, they're like, oh, but we need to make sure they're learning this, or then we need to make sure they're learning this. And but if that's our focus, if that's our first thing, then we've lost the rest, right? So we have to start. We tell them, if we focus on your child, I promise the rest will come. That's all that matters. It's going to come. I can't tell you it's going to come the same time for every child. It shouldn't. right?
Right.
Every child is learning differently,
Different.
just like every adult. So I can't promise when it's going to happen, but I can promise that it will happen. And if
like
it
you're
doesn't
saying,
happen, then that's another thing we need to look at, right? If it doesn't, if something is not aligning, then okay, then we need to bring in whatever, like look at other things. But for the majority, but even then, it's that whole path. It's that whole thing of you're not creating the child for the path, you're creating the path for the child, right? And that's what we're doing. And so we have 150 paths at our center. Every child walks in and they are on a different yellow brick road. It just depends on.
And what's the detox time frame for when you bring on staff?
Yeah, thank you. That's
Like,
where I was way
what's
ahead.
that average, like unless they're already there and they're like, yay, I'm so glad I found your tribe, right? But if they're not, and their only experience with early childhood has been the opposite of everything we've been talking about here.
Right.
What's the detox time before, like, do they get there?
It's a few months.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna think.
Yeah, it's a few months and it depends. So if they have a person in the room that's modeling it beautifully, then it's faster. If it's something that is in their core already, it's faster. But if it's not, we did have a caregiver who started with us, and it wasn't her upbringing. It wasn't how she was raised at all. But once she kind of saw the light, once she realized, what happened was I walked in and I saw her doing an activity with some children that was very teacher directed. And it was like, no, they have to put the eyes here and this there. And I just asked her, I said, tell me about this. Tell me how the children were feeling. And she said they were so stressed. Like they didn't seem happy. And so then we talked about flipping it, right? And making it child-centered. And her light bulb just was like, so she tried it the next day and a light bulb went off and she was like, oh my gosh, like they were so happy and not stressed. And so every once in a while she kind of goes back a little bit, but she needed the light bulb to go off, right? She needed to see it happen. So if they see it happen, it happens faster. If they're not truly sold, it's not for everyone, 100%, right? If that's not how, it's not in your core, it kind of has to be there. We just have to awaken it. But if it's not there,
then it's not there.
You can't
It's
make it
time
happen.
to move on, right?
Yeah,
So,
and that's okay.
And that's okay, right? I remember many times as a director, I would say our philosophy and vision and mission don't seem to be a good fit for you. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But I like the way you approached it, and tell me how the children were feeling when you were doing this activity. So that was a relationship based,
always back,
appreciative inquiry approach, right?
Yeah.
Tell me how that went, right? And I would do that when I was coaching. Tell me how the morning went. And they would say, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And I said, tell me the good things. And
Right.
let's look at the 3 times you said no during the morning. It's been 3 hours. Okay. Let's tell me the good things that happened. And so that sort of reframed them and made them feel more successful than just focusing on.
I think it's hard for people to remember like that, what you said, that there are so many more good moments. And that kind of goes back to the relationships too, that, the child had such a terrible day. I'm like, did they, or did they have like a terrible, like 20 seconds? Because, how long does it take to really get, maybe they bit a child or something like that was about 20 seconds, but for the next 8 hours, they were pretty darn good. Like everything was going really well for them. So, but yeah, we focus on, and that's kind of building those relationships with parents. As soon as they walk in the door, we're not going to say, oh, they had a horrible day. We're going to, let me tell you about their day. They had a great day. There was a moment where they kind of lost and kind of forgot where they were and, or forgot how to use their words or what have you. But if we start off that, it was a terrible day, then it's gone, right? Like,
and the parents then slink in, right? They don't want to hear that.
They're afraid to come in.
A bad day at work.
Yeah.
Sneak in and try to get their child and leave, right? And there's no relationship.
It's like their child had a beautiful day. They just had a moment. Maybe they had several moments. That's okay, but it's not about those, right? It's about how they came out of it or about what happened next. And but you have to know the child to know how to help them. Oh, hello.
There he is. What happened? There's the puppy.
I knew something was up because he started getting agitated and the doorbell just rang. So I'm hoping it's just a package and they'll go away. So, but I didn't want you to change your train of thought, because I wanted to add something that Jeff Johnson says a lot when we podcast. He said, you know, when did it come to pass? You were talking about the moments, right?
Yeah.
He said, when did it come to pass that we felt it was okay to hold 3-year-olds accountable to more higher levels of self-regulation than the adults that are working with them?
Exactly. I don't know where that happened, but it definitely happens daily. They're like, I'm like, when you get frustrated, how do you handle it?
Right?
I like how
You want me to call your mother?
Oh my God. I'm going to tell your
I feel
dad.
like saying, like, when your husband comes home, I'm going to tell him what kind of day you had.
Right?
Yeah.
As soon as he walks in the door, because that's going to go over fantastically.
Right. That's so funny.
Okay.
So I really like the way that the support is wrapped around these teachers, right? And again, going back to sometimes it's just not a good fit.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
okay.
sometimes you have to make that decision. And typically you make that decision. My first thing that I would ask is, are you happy here? Right?
Yeah.
Because we typically had a pretty happy place. And if they would say, I'm really frustrated, so talk to me about why you're frustrated. And so then that would sort of go in. And I said, then maybe this just isn't a great fit for you. Can we agree on
You have to know
that?
your staff. I mean, if you're going to have a
Yeah.
relationship-based curriculum for learners, you have to have it for the adults too.
Exactly.
And so we have to know how to support them. And if we can support them, wonderful. And you know, you see those little glimpses of hope. And then you also see the light go out. So that's okay too. And there's all types of programs out there, right? So if just as ours isn't a fit, that's okay. You're going to be great somewhere else. We just need, this is our focus and we're not going to change it for anybody. So if it's not a good fit, that's okay. Well, if you want to be coached, great. And we will, if you're coachable, we will help you on that path. We know that it takes some time, but we also know pretty soon if it's just not going to be. And we're not willing to risk our learners' needs to help, for anybody. So that's, again,
well,
and I love that. And I said it already, but I'm going to repeat it. No, I love that I love your assertiveness and your like line in the sandness, because I'm like that as well, especially when it comes to protecting what I call like the sanctity of that early childhood world, right? And to be okay with saying, this isn't going to change because you don't like it, or this isn't going to change because you've never seen it before. So if we're able to get on the same page, then we're able to make that happen. But if not, like, let me help you go find another job. Let me, have you heard about finance? Like, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's not working with little people.
Right. But the biggest challenge right now, which I know the world right now, is there's no teachers anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere. So it's so hard because you get stuck in this. I need to maybe make this work a little bit longer because there is no one. That's making it a little bit harder, but still we do what we need to do. And I love that, like, with COVID, it's just been putting our teachers through the ringer, right? And but yet they still every day come in and just love on these learners, like it's no, like it's not what, nothing's going out in the world.
Well, let me add something to that I just thought about in real time. I'm wondering if it is because they're not preoccupied with all of that other peripheral garbage, letter of the day, number of the day, whatever of the day. They're able to be more emotionally present because they're not juggling 5,000.
100%. I mean, we're a private program. I've run state funded programs for many years, so I know DRDPs and ITERs and ECHRs and all of that. I did all that. But when I came to this private program, I was like, we're not doing that. Your focus is 100% the children, and that's all it has to be. You don't have to focus on ITERs and ECHRs and parent teacher conference forums and daily whatever. No, this is it. So because I'm giving you this much freedom and autonomy, I expect this is the outcome. Like, I expect you to be 100% sitting with the learners and engaged. You don't have to be doing anything else. And yes, we introduce some things every once in a while, but really their job is the children. 100%.
Are you a full day?
We are full day. Yeah, 6:30 to 6. Year round.
Year round.
We're all.
Do you have an outdoor classroom like Agua Dulce?
We do, but not as beautiful as Agua Dulce. That is the area that I'm working on the most with my staff. that's a really tough piece is,
Uh-huh.
that's a tough piece. It's not where I hope it to be yet, but it's getting there. The facilitators, I only have one facilitator that's actually lived in outdoor classroom. So the rest I'm having to kind of bring in, and it's getting there. We do have environments set up, but definitely not to the extent of Agua Dulce. Yeah.
And there's a town hall on the Agua Dulce that's free on the website, right? So,
yes.
I mean, you could show, here's what it could be.
Yes. And we have, like, our staff's gone there. We've done trainings there. Aiden and Lisa have come to our school, and Angie and come. It's a buy-in though. If they're not, if they don't believe it, then, and there's a cost factor. We are private, so we don't have we don't really get any of the grants, and we don't qualify for pretty much anything. So that's, so there's, I mean, not to make excuses. I don't want to make it, I'm not trying to make excuses, but the biggest piece is that belief and that buy-in.
Yeah, it's so interesting how I want to, I really want to, and so here's confessions, right? I want to have a forest kindergarten at my college. We have a forest. Why not? Right?
Yes.
I'm not sure I would want to work in it every day. Right?
Well, it is Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'll work in it April through October.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And when it's not raining, right?
Seasonal kindergarten.
I'll do rain.
I don't think I could do rain. And so, it's so funny how this is really what I know is what children need. And I would go out and model and coach and do blah, 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 unless it was raining, snowing, cold, right? And so then I go, okay, are you being a hypocrite? Or is this just, how some people can teach it, but other people can't do it?
They do. And I'll tell you, for everyone, like maybe us, or at least me and Deb, who might be a little more selective in the time frame, like I get it. Like I've lived in the snow. We've been outside in the snow. And there's a time factor. It's a time and a gear factor.
I live in Southern California. There's no time frame.
So I've got colleagues up in the Pacific Northwest, one in Minnesota. They've both opened forest-oriented programs. And these two women, I think they would rather be out in the elements than even inside. So they're out there, that's what we're talking about, that goodness of fit. You got to find the people who aren't mumbling under their breath while they're putting, their rain gear on for the third time in a row this week.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, is our facilitators do love the mud. They are 100% playing the rain, playing the mud, get out there, get dirty, jump in puddles. It's just the setting up the curriculum that I'm working on with them. Yeah. It's the experiences. But if it's raining, if it's mud, if it's, they are 100%. Let them, they jump in the puddles with them. So
they are better women or men than I am. Better facilitators.
Maybe they're just younger. Maybe
they are
younger, Deb.
They are younger. But we live in Southern California. We have cold weather for like a day, and it's not even cold, right?
Yeah.
So we really have no excuse to never be outside. We should be outside every day, all day.
100%.
There's
Wendy, as always, you have been amazing. And so I'm going to close.
I want to come see your school.
Please do.
Could we do that even with COVID? Would that be something we could talk about?
Oh yeah, people are allowed in now.
Okay.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yes.
And it is
where
a work in progress.
Are you in California? Which one?
We're in the Castaic, so Los Angeles area.
Los Angeles area. Yeah, so you're not too far from Agua Dulce.
Oh no, not at all. Yeah,
not at all. Traffic.
Yeah, well, everything's traffic. It's like a half hour. Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's not
wonderful. I really want to get out there and see Agua Dulce, and then I would want to come.
Agua Dulce it's beautiful. It's when I grow up, that's what my school wants to be. We were given this building. This building was a KinderCare when we were given it, and we're still renting it, so we can't do much to it. So it is, but it is.
It is what it is.
We have big visions.
Yeah, well, and I think the beauty of this whole Porch Play Chat has been, it's about relationship based, and the child is the curriculum. Please,
100%.
Please listen. It is relationship based.
100%.
And that is the beauty and the reason why children are so happy. And you keep the facilitators that you keep in a very difficult environment as far as finding people, right?
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah, they're not
an-
going to leave because at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, we might all be in this really big rough patch right now, but I'm not having to compromise my soul for a paycheck when I
They're-
show up at this particular
Right.
place. And
They
that-
are happy. Their needs are met just like the learners' needs are met. You know, their
right, and
emotional
that
needs.
is
Maybe
and
not their
yeah.
physical needs.
right.
But their
That's a
emotional
early
needs.
But their
childhood.
emotional
Right.
need, and that when
Right.
you should be patting yourself on the back for, because
Thank you.
that is not in every program. I hear about the
One of the
not,
teachers yesterday said that we're the unicorn. She's like, I work at the unicorn school. Like, this isn't, I know this is not anywhere else. And she's like, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And I'm like, that's good.
that.
So
Yeah.
how do we
Reassure.
start duplicating that? And that's what we'll
And
talk
that's my
about.
goal. That's what iLEAD's goal is to really take this model and open all over. They want, it's not going to be called Little iLEADers, but they want this version, because I was just talking with my co-director. I'm like, where do they have a chain year-round play-based child-centered center? They
There's
don't.
not
I mean,
one.
Bright Horizons, but Bright Horizons is corporate, and
Yeah.
even they've kind of modified their
Mhm.
core.
Ever since,
Since
yeah.
I used to work for Bright Horizons many years ago, and
Mhm.
it's definitely not what it used to be. So
Mhm.
that's bash, sorry. But this can happen. This core could go other places. This could
Oh,
be,
please.
a thing. And so that's what iLEAD's working on. Like, they really want to, that's why they brought me in to go everywhere.
Think Pennsylvania. Think
Okay.
Philadelphia area.
Florida.
Our kids need
Okay.
to. Yeah,
Sold.
that would be
Sold.
perfect.
And I'm going to get my other two directors to come and sign up for these porch plays, because they're so much fun.
Oh,
Wonderful.
wonderful. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
Brainstorm topics and let us know, and then you
I will.
come on back in the spring.
I love this. This is so much fun. You guys
Oh,
are
It was so nice to meet you.
so
Yeah.
nice to meet you too. And again, like I said, huge fan. Huge
Thank
fan.
you.
Both
So-
of you, actually.
So Wendy, I'm going to close this up. Don't go anywhere. So to learn more about Porch Play Chats, or to even find them, go to IPAUSA.org. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see our Facebook page link, our YouTube channel, and our Instagram. If you friend us on Facebook and you friend us on YouTube, or subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you'll automatically get the next Porch Play Chat. One is released every Monday. So until next time, thanks for playing, and keep on playing pretty please.
Bye-bye.